For those who see the world not as it is, but as it can be, who seek to make their vision of the future become reality, their mission is our mission. At Lockheed Martin, we never forget who we're working for.
All right, folks, we're going to get started, and I'm going to do some quick introductions, and then we're going to get right into it. I'm going to start immediately to my right. We've got Lucy Sanders, who is the CEO and co-founder of the National Center for Women and Information Technology. That's NCWIT. I'm going to go all the way down to the other end, and we've got Cassidy Williams. And the reason I'm introducing her next is Cassidy has actually been involved with the NCWIT. She's a senior computer scientist at Iowa State University, and after graduating, she's going to go do computer engineering at Venmo, and currently the student lead for the International Women's Hackathon, which we're going to be hearing about results later on. We've got in the middle, Pat. Pat is the Director of Education for Code.org. We're going to hear more about that, and he's speaking all over the world and inspiring high school students, and he himself is a high school computer science teacher. Erica is a 15-year veteran teacher, biotech instructor, is that right? And a supporter of STEM education, particularly at McKinley Technology High, and we're excited to have you. And then we've got Bonnie Ross, for all the gamers especially, responsible for managing all aspects of the Halo franchise. So we're going to try to keep this lively and fun. I'm going to start with Erica, and I'm going to start with the idea that there's this sobering fact that according to the US Department of Labor statistics, in the next 3 or 4 years, there's going to be over 1 million open technology jobs in the US, and the current rate of students that are graduating with degrees in computer science, only 61% of those openings are going to get filled. So why is it important that students, teachers, parents care?
Well, I think it's about choices. You can't select or choose a career track for yourself if you, A, don't know it exists, B, can't visualize it or know how to plan for it, or C, know how to fund it. So it's really important to have events such as these where students can actually see and experience and meet others who are in these exciting fields.
All right, excellent. Now I'm going to go to Lucy and Bonnie. And both of you guys have been in the technology industry for a while, and you both have computer science experience. And as you know, computer science, we're going to call it CS, it's very male-dominated. Unlike this panel, fortunately, we're outnumbered a little bit. There's only 18% of women graduating with CS degrees in the US, and you've got over 57% of women graduating from universities with bachelor degrees. So there's this disparity. In your opinion, why is this happening, and why is it so critical to get more women involved?
Well, let me just say this. I think a lot of young women today don't understand the creative nature of computing. And when you know computer science, you can change the world. You can work in any sector. You can solve all kinds of society's problems. That's what computer science is. It takes the problems of the world and it translates them into the language of the computer. So we don't do a very good job of exciting our young women today about the power of computing and why they should study it. And the other reason is there's such low numbers now that the law of low numbers kind of takes effect, and they feel isolated and alone, and so we need to work to fix that.
Bonnie, what say you?
Yeah, I would add on to that I think within the next 10 years, it doesn't matter what career you choose, whether you choose to be a writer, an artist, a doctor, whatever you are doing, I guarantee you that it will need CS as a background. And the things that we're looking at as, like in games, if you're an artist and you have a technical background, we are far more apt to hire you than if you are just an artist. I think you just need that, and our country needs that. When you think about the positions coming out, if you have a background in CS, you will get a job coming out of college. There's just not enough people that have it in the United States. So I look at it, whatever you're doing, get a CS minor. Add CS as part of your degree.
Now, a lot of what people decide to do in life, and I'm turning to you, Cassidy, is defined by what their peers celebrate and what their friends think about them. And when most people think about computer science, at least over the past decade, most people think nerds and geeks, it's not cool, it's not the fun thing to do. So give me your view about A, why that's not true, and B, what can be done about it?
So that stereotype does exist, that everybody thinks that computer scientists are nerds, and honestly, yes, we can be geeky, but you could say that about any degree out there. I don't know why we were pegged as that one degree that they're the ones who hang out in the basement all the time. And the only way to change that stereotype and defy that stereotype is just don't follow it. Just be who you want to be without having to feel like, oh, you have to be one of those coders that hangs out at home all the time and only plays around with your computer and doesn't talk to anybody. You can be as social as you want to be. Just kind of be yourself, and the stereotypes won't even matter.
Now I want to come back here to Bonnie, because you are responsible for running a very large team. And you have lots of smart people and lots of nerdy, geeky people that are developing arguably something more popular by the number of people that line up in front of movie theaters, and certainly more profitable by the number of people that are shelling out dollars for something like Halo. People might want to go and become developers, but they might want to also be leaders. They might want to be in management. Talk about what it's like to manage a team of the size that you do for something so important and popular as Halo.
So for me, technology has always been part of my aspiration and my background. But I really didn't understand what I wanted to do until I found games. Because merging technology with art, that's my dream. And I think it's a dream of a lot of young people. It's just that they think about technology as, that's kind of like the means to an end, where basically, technology is just the beginning. And when I look at managing a large team, we have about 500 people on Halo, and we have artists, we have writers, we have testers, we have program managers or producers, we have developers. There are so many different careers that you can have within entertainment, and almost all of them, even when you're thinking about movies going forward, like James Cameron and the Avatar, we're all using that same technology. But for me, it's super exciting to have technology empower my dream, and that's what gaming is, and that's what entertainment is today.
I want to go to Pat, and then Lucy and Dr. Senegar-Mitchall, Erica. I want to find out, what are the books, what are the websites, what are the communities, what are the things that people can turn to start getting involved, to be inspired, and to learn more particularly about computer science? Where should they go?
So my CEO would be pretty mad if I didn't mention code.org.
Of course, code.org.
Obviously. And just to let you guys know, code.org is a nonprofit that's promoting computer science education around our nation. We have a website, and at that website you can find a bunch of resources, curricula that we've created, but also through our third parties, in the browser coding environments where you can code games, you can code animations through Scratch, through Tinker, Khan Academy, etc. And you can also find a school database and a camp database of all different types of computer science opportunities in your local community.
I will say, I've got a 4-year-old girl, and I've got her set up on Scratch, plugging in electrodes to bananas and playing piano. It's pretty cool.
That's
using
awesome.
Bananas. Erica, where would you recommend that people go?
Okay, so another affiliation of mine is with Bio, and they're the International Biotech Trade Organization. A lot of people would not combine agriculture or biomedical science with computer science and engineering or robotics. But as a pharmacologist, all of my work on my proposed medications is done first with computer-aided drafting and modeling. And so I would be remiss if I didn't say, Bio has a all-women's group, an all-girl group that you can reach by going to www.bio.org. And there's tons of groups and camps and summer programs, women's groups and panels and things like that, where girls can get more inspired as well as boys.
I think that's fascinating. The drugs that are helping to save lives are being designed on computers in silico before they go in vivo.
Yes.
Very cool. Lucy?
For those of you who are older students, perhaps you can check out, there's a MOOC, a massively online open courseware. You can take computer science intro courses at Stanford and other places, so that's kind of cool. And there's also a curriculum for high school students called Exploring Computer Science, which is up on the web that you can look at, which is a full curriculum with some of the higher level concepts in computing. And then Pat mentioned code.org, of course, and then a plug for Khan Academy, where you can go and have a whole computer science curriculum online there.
Now, Lucy, I want to stay with you for a moment because, as I said, I've got a 4-year-old, I've got 2 daughters, yes. And you have done research to understand how can men play a role, whether it's fathers to daughters or brothers to sisters, husbands, wives, whatever it may be, in accelerating women into computer science. What can men do?
Sure, so men are really important because in computer science, there are many, many more men than women. So the first thing, never underestimate the very simple act of encouragement. Really encourage young women to pursue computing, tell them, the things they need to learn better, or the kinds of things they're doing well, and really make sure that they use a growth mindset when it comes to that, you can learn this, you can learn it if you keep trying and keep challenging yourself. So I think encouragement and understanding that they really can do it.
Now, I want to go back to Cassidy, because Microsoft Research in particular has done a lot of work to encourage more women to stay in computer science in the university. And they typically, as I understand it, drop out for one of 3 reasons. Sometimes maybe it's a combination. First is that the early years of work in computer science, it's abstract. It's hard to see the direct linkage to what you're going to end up doing in life. Second is a lot of the fields that women may traditionally have been drawn to in the social sciences, they can see the direct impact, whereas this is a little bit more amorphous. And third, most of the classes tend to be dominated by men. So you're a student, you're a lead in the International Women's Hackathon. Help us understand how this event helps overcome some of the issues and some of your other advocacy work. What's Hackathon, by the way? So for people that may want to get involved in this, are you running a race and chopping people? What's a hackathon?
Okay, so first of all, a hackathon is a span of time where you're given just this whole time to make something, and it's technology related. So it could have a theme, sometimes it does. Our hackathon had the theme of going with UN Women, so you could hack for women in STEM, or Teens Against Distracted Driving, and so your hack project would go towards that. And so you can use whatever technologies you want, and it's hacking something together, trying to make something out of that in that given amount of time and present it at the end. So from start to finish, you make a working, or hopefully working, product by the end of the hackathon, and they're so fun.
Very cool. Now, I'm going to turn for some questions in the audience, and while you're thinking of that, I'm going to throw these guys on the spot, because hopefully they serve to be heroes for you guys and for the people that are watching, but I want to know who they celebrated. Because as a culture, we get what we celebrate. We're here celebrating science. Who are some of the people, and it need not be a woman, but who are the people that inspired you that you wanted to be like? And while they're answering that, I'd like to have some hands up so I can call on you for some questions, and we'll make it a little interactive. Lucy, can I start with you?
The person who inspired me to take this pathway was my high school math teacher, Sandra McCullough, if she's out there anywhere, I mean, she, I don't want to say exactly how old I am, but she taught us how to do computer programming when we were in high school back in the early 70s. And so she was really awesome, and she always had that edge about her, and she wanted to innovate and made sure that we all knew how to program 1971. It was awesome.
Very good. Erica, what about you? Who's your inspiration?
Definitely my middle and high school science teachers. I have extremely humble beginnings. There was no one in my neighborhood or family, although they were great people, that would make me think I would ever be a pharmacologist or a protein chemist. And so I'm very grateful to them for the rigor and how they pushed me when I didn't see myself that way. I also have a kind of an idol in pharmacology, and that's Dr. Percy Lavon Julian. He was one of the first African-American gentlemen to get his PhD in chemistry, and he was a medicinal chemist and took natural products like plants and roots and turned them into medicines like cortisone for arthritis.
Very cool, and we've got 2 votes for high school science teachers that were inspiring.
2 votes.
Pat, what about you?
So I would name my high school AP physics teacher, but I'll change that to another guy who actually I don't know firsthand, but his name is Seymour Papert. If any of you all in the audience out there are interested in teaching computer science ever, Seymour Papert is someone you need to know about and read about. He's basically the pioneer of computer science education for young people. And he has some very visionary ideas that even decades later are still cutting edge.
Bonnie, what about you?
I would say my father, because he was an engineer and basically told me there was no career except that. So by force, but he did push me into the sciences. And then I would look in games. There are very few women in games. We need more women in games because games are about art, games are about storytelling, games are about technology, and games are for everyone, so we need more women in. I'd pick out two women that really inspire me in the industry. One is Lucy Bradshaw, who did The Sims, as one of the main designers on The Sims. And if you think about The Sims, I don't think The Sims would be what The Sims is if it wasn't having women designers on it. And the second would be Amy Hennig, who is the lead designer for Uncharted, or was the lead designer for Uncharted. And for me, having other women in the field is hugely inspirational, and those are two women that I look up to.
Cassidy?
Okay, so I've tried narrowing it down, but I still have 4 that I want to list. So the first one is Ruth Farmer, which she's here right now. She's with the National Center for Women in IT, and she's been great just because she inspires so many young girls, middle school, high school, college girls to continue following their passions in tech. The second person, her name is Jennifer Arguello, and she works out in San Fran at the Kapoor Center, and she's absolutely great. She always gives me the best advice that I could. She's startup hopped. She's worked at all kinds of big companies. She's worked at Microsoft even. And so she's just a real inspiration and really helps me technically. The third person is Kelly Hoey. She's with Women Innovate Mobile, and she really reached out to me and showed me the best ways that I can network with other professionals and kind of just get my name out there and how to be assertive, how to speak to people in the business. And then the fourth person is Rain Johnson, who's also here. And she's with Microsoft Research, and her story is just so inspiring. And every time she tells me more about herself, I just think I want to be her someday. And so these 4 women,
that's great
can't
and
do anything without
inspiring.
them.
So before we dismiss the panelists, we're going to go to questions.
Hi, my name is Natalie. This is for Miss Cassidy Williams. I'm interested in doing the hackathons. I have introduction advanced level to C++, and I have some experience with MIT App Inventor, but I don't know, like, going to a hackathon, like, how do I apply this? How do I build these things I want to with apps?
I know exactly what you're talking about, because I went to a hackathon and I was just like, okay, I have my beginning Java class. How am I supposed to get into anything? So really, you just go and just come up with a project. And you don't have to make up with a whole new app that's going to be the next viral thing. I've talked to some person where they just said, I know MATLAB and I know some C. What can I do? And they said, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to apply a mathematical equation to a hackable light bulb and make it change colors whenever you enter a room. I mean, it's just the kind of thing where you come up with a project and then use what you know to work towards that project. Because anybody, even if you have very minimal programming experience, can do a hackathon. You can even come in with no programming experience at all and just follow tutorials to make something. And the goal is to ultimately learn. Yeah, the prizes are great and it's fun to compete with other people, but the more hackathons you do, the more you realize you're learning the entire time, and it's just a fast-paced way to really just program efficiently and work efficiently to better yourself.
Can you explain what the P versus NP problem is?
All right, so the P versus NP problem.
Do you want me to do that, or does anybody else want to take a... Okay, well, P versus NP is a great problem that keeps me up at night. How do I explain this best? So there's, how do I explain? It is an unsolvable problem, and it is one of those problems that drives everybody crazy, because it's like there's a gigantic set, and it's a set of all kinds of different problems, and inside this gigantic set of problems, there's another set of problems, and you're trying to see, with P versus NP, you're trying to prove that if this subset of the bigger set is equal, then if that were to be solved, let's just say, you could pretty much crack any encryption algorithm ever, and no bank accounts would be secure. And it makes all one-way calculations obsolete. So that's the general gist of it, and it is a very frustrating problem that in my algorithms class I lost sleep over.
Hard question and great answer. Okay, let's go up front over here.
This question is for Ms. Bonnie Ross. So I'm very interested in game design and game development, so I'm wondering if you have any advice for me.
Yeah, what's great with a bunch of college hires that we have coming in, there's such thing as a game degree now, believe it or not, and they actually have it on almost all of the top, MIT, everyone has one. They also have like DigiPen and Full Sail, which are smaller games colleges, but you can get a degree in gaming. And if you don't want to get a degree in that, I would say any background in CS, any background, whether it's a major or a minor, and then what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about art or writing or coding or testing or designing, like you said, designing, having a tech background is incredibly valuable as a designer because you actually need to prototype. And I would just say getting that CS background. But if you really want gaming, we have some amazing students coming out of game majors. But if not, just get that CS background.
I'm Kim Wilkins, the founder of Tech Girls. I love all the resources that you were talking about, but one of the things I wonder about is incorporating computer science into the curriculum at the elementary, middle school, and high school levels, and where do you see that going? Because I think we'll reach more girls that way.
So at Code.org, we're going to be launching a whole bunch of curricula this summer, starting with kindergarten to 5th grade curriculum. So imagine kindergartners learning computer science. It's going to be a great school year 14-15. But our approach is to teach computer science within the context of science and math. And the way we do it with math is with algebra. We focus on algebra, and we help kids learn that they can use their mathematics skills and their computer science skills to create games, actually. And they learn a lot about functions and functional notation that way. And then with science, there's a lot of modeling and simulation going on in science. And right now, a lot of students are using applications that other people have made. Well, to really get deep into it, you should be making those models and simulations yourself. So that's kind of how you weave in computer science into math and science, but there's all types of opportunities across English language arts, PE, social studies, etc. You just have to get creative, and a lot of those resources are found online.
I'm a computer science major currently, and I was just wondering if you've ever personally encountered any female job discrimination in the computer science field?
Have you guys seen job discrimination? He has not seen female discrimination.
Quickly add, I would actually say the opposite is true. So we want candidates that are the best candidates regardless, but I actually have our recruiting do a pass to make sure that I'm getting women candidates as well. The challenge is there aren't enough of you. And I would just say that get a CS degree. There are so many jobs out there, and I would really say the opposite is true. That corporations want that diversity. Diversity does matter in creating more creative ideas and creating things that are applicable to all of us. So I would just say the opposite. So get that degree.
Have you encouraged individuals that you know in their local area to get involved in any of the hacker or maker spaces? Places that actually develop the CNC machines that you see all over the floor?
Okay, great. I'll repeat it. Have you guys encouraged people to get involved in hacker or maker spaces that might lead to jobs and activity? Cassidy.
So I have never personally done a hackerspace or a makerspace, but I know plenty of people who have. I know there's curriculum in Seattle, I'm being told, and I saw a ton of them in San Francisco when I was out there, and I know there's a hacker school in New York. The company that I'm going to be working for, Venmo, they actually hire directly out of some hackerspaces and hacker schools just because they know that those work. And I know quite a few startups that have come directly out of those. I know Square, they came directly out of a makerspace just because they were experimenting with little things. So I know those are successful, and I know that they're out there. I haven't personally played with them, but.
If any of you live in the Silver Spring area in Maryland, a suburb of DC, there's actually a new hacker makerspace being created. It's called the Children's or the Kids Museum, and it's in the bottom floor of one of the Montgomery County libraries. So I think it's already launched. You can probably find the website. I think it's called Children's Museum or something like that, but it's located in Silver Spring.
All right.
Yeah. Unallocated space is also in Maryland.
As you heard earlier from Cassidy, to encourage and ensure we encourage, support, and retain more women in computer science at the university level, Microsoft Research launched the International Women's Hackathon, and this became a crowdsourcing event. It was meant to empower young women to be leaders in computer science, and it made a fun, safe environment so that they could explore computing, encourage and support young university women around the world to be the producers of the future innovations that are going to affect our lives. And the event was sponsored by Microsoft Research, NCWIT, the Association for Computing Machinery Committee on Women, Institute of Electrical Engineers, the IEEE, Women in Engineering, Microsoft Bing, and Skype. And the two challenges were also sponsored by nonprofits. One of the names I love, Teens Against Distracted Driving, and the UN Women. And young women in computer science, EE, electrical engineering, informatics, as well as women's student groups on university campuses around the world were encouraged to host these local hackathons. Many of them contacted the local hacker spaces, just like the gentleman was talking about, the computing communities, developers, women organizations for support. The event was open to women of all skill levels, from those who have not programmed at all to the very best women coders that were out there. And it's critical that our challenges have world-reaching impact, so it was open international. This is why they partnered with NGOs to have women solve problems that they're facing around the world, and those worldwide hackathons helped inspire women to learn, invent, and create the future. Around the world, there were over 50 events in 11 countries with over 2,500 university and high school students, women participating in 2 challenges on how to get teens to stop texting and driving, and how we encourage more women around the world to pursue careers in STEM. So I'm going to show a quick video that's going to give you a glimpse of what happened over the last 3 days.
We often speak about how too few women are represented in professional STEM jobs.
And I think whether it's writing or art or anything that you're doing, having a technical background, any kind of background, is going to be incredibly helpful.
Joining us from the Hoosier State, Miss Congresswoman Susan Brooks.
I'm speaking to you today and to all of you from Indianapolis via Skype. Now that wouldn't have ever been possible when I was your age and when I was growing up. I have recently had the opportunity to learn about Microsoft's participation in what's called the Big Dream movement. This is an international movement that showcases women using science, technology, engineering, and math STEMs skills to transform entire communities. I'm so excited about the computer science skills that are bringing you here together. In only 6 years, in 2020, there will be over 1.4 million new computing jobs in our country. But yet we're not turning out enough young people into these fields to fill those jobs.
There's a lot of technology available today, and there are a lot of problems in the world that we can use them to fix, that's for sure.
So I want to thank Microsoft for organizing this hackathon. I hope to visit it someday in person. I hope you have a great weekend and that your hard work benefits those 2 great organizations, Teens Against Distracted Driving and the UN Women.
I'm going to introduce our judges today supporting the nonprofits. From UN Women, we've got Jennifer Breslin. From Microsoft, Bonnie Ross. From NCWIT, Ruth Farmer. And from DC Schools, Erica Senegar-Mitchall. And I'd like to call onto the stage the winning team for the Teens Against Distracted Driving.
Hi, my name is Casey Pozniakis.
Hi, my name is Meng Yang.
Hi, my name is Ankushi Sharma.
And we are very pleased to show you our app, DC Blind. So Teens Against Distracted Driving asked us to solve a very important problem. Next. Distracted driving. Distracted driving kills thousands of people each year. And it's not just texting and driving or using your phone while you're driving. A lot of it's just not thinking while you're driving. So a lot of us drive, after a long day of school or work, we drive home, we don't really pay attention to the roads. You're in your own mind and you get home and you're like, wow, I don't remember most of that ride. So we built an app that we hope will help combat that. Next. Next. So in DC Blind, we use Bing Maps, which is one of the most accurate GPS for mobile devices. So the app is always looking about a quarter mile ahead of you, as represented by the box. And the little blue dot there is your location. So the app is asking Bing then to look a quarter mile ahead of you and look for traffic, for construction, for anything it thinks might cause an accident. If the app finds anything, it just does a little dinging noise. Not loud enough to distract you, but loud enough to bring you out of your own mind. So it's red when there's upcoming danger, and it will go back to blue when there's no danger detected. So the key to this is simplicity. You don't want the phone to be dinging every 30 seconds, but you want to be alert enough. So we went through and tested it with a map and tried to make it so that it's only when it's really important, as not to bother you. So we did a little bit of the basics to show you how we did it. So the first thing is DC Blind accesses the Windows Phone maps. The second thing is it's going to translate the coordinates, which come out in just 4 different numbers, to an actual location. It's going to send that off to Bing, who's going to look a quarter mile ahead and do all of the data. It's going to send the data back and then decide whether or not there is a danger present. So here's a picture. We deployed it on a Nokia Lumina, and this is what it would look like. It's very simple. It's not distracting. It's a clean interface. And the most important part is what it's doing, not what it's showing. So we'd like to thank Microsoft Research and all of our sponsors for helping us develop these. This is a huge hackathon around the world, and they're going to be apps that have a real impact on people. So we just want to say thank you to our judges, to our mentors, to everyone who helped us.
Now, as I told you, this was an international event that was held in 11 countries all over the world. So we will have live now from Montclair University Team TextLite, Francesca Smith. We've got Ashley, Jeanette, Eunice, Darlene, and Lauren. So guys, go ahead and take it away.
Francesca Smith, I'm a marketing management major.
My name is Ashley and I'm a biology major.
I'm Lauren Witham and I'm an international business management major.
My name is Darlene and I'm a psychology major.
My name is Eunice and I'm a business management major.
My name is Jeanette and I'm a justice studies major.
And none of us are STEM majors. So, in the USA, 1.3 million car accidents are caused by we want to introduce PME, which is positive, motivating, and empowerment. So, how does it work? We have a simple, catchy icon and a fun and intuitive idea. So, I get into my car and my phone's going crazy and Lawrence texts me. So TextLite sends my customized message, which I came up with, and responds to her telling her that I'm on my way. I feel the need to pick up my phone while I'm driving, but TextLite reminds me with the voice warning, which I've also customized, to put my phone down. So why use TextLite? As part of TextLite, we're going to work with retailers and causes to reward teenagers for not texting. And teenagers have the opportunity for immediate gratification as they're able to monitor their progress and see how much they've texted and how much rewards they've got while driving. So this is how it works.
Each time the phone is lifted while driving, there is an automated message reminding you not to do so.
Whoa there, buddy. Let's wait until you arrive.
If you click on the red light, you'll find a report of your progress. Each time a text is received, the red bar increases. If one decides not to respond, the green bar increases as well. Either way, an automated text will be sent letting the opposing texter know that one is currently driving. If you click on the yellow light, you'll see that you can customize your automated voice reminder and automated response. If you click the green light, you'll find a rewards page. Our mission is to prevent teenagers from exceeding 50% of the red bar's growth by telling friends that they are driving previous to getting in the car, preventing texts from being received or sent. Each who succeeds will receive rewards from sponsoring companies such as Adidas.
So, as we said, none of us are STEM majors, so this week we've actually had to learn to code from scratch. So we've come up with some ideas for the future of TextLite, which we've been unable to do this weekend. So we want to install GPS to help track when people are driving to make the app easier to use. We want to improve the code in which we currently have so that our app can run in the background while the person is using other apps or the phone's locked. And we want to be able to count the number of non-automated messages sent. Thank you for listening.
All right, very clever. Well, let's keep the round of applause going for all of our panelists here. And for the whole purpose of this is create some excitement around women's involvement in computer science. Thank you guys, and thank Microsoft.